Welcome to toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi. Now today we're going to take a look at one of the vehicles for the Red Shadows, part of Palitoy's Action Force line. So here in front of me we have the Shadow Trak, and this is probably one of my favourite vehicles that were produced for the Red Shadows. As you can see, it's an 8-wheeled sort of off-terrain little buggy thing, and this was released back in 1983, and it was based on a mould that they'd used previously for another vehicle called the AF5, and that's something that was pretty common with the sort of Palitoy sort of way of working. They take a vehicle, repurpose it a bit, recolour it and release it again. So this is, as I say, the Shadow Trak version, and this is made to match with Baron Ironblood's Red Shadow army. So you can see it's a nice bright red colour with sort of black details and a few other sort of grey areas on it, and it's a pretty sturdy little thing. It's as I say, it's got 8 wheels on it which all roll pretty nicely, and for a toy back of the 80s that's actually quite a good thing, because a lot of toys back then were pretty sort of shoddily made, and it comes with quite a few little pieces. So let's take a closer look at the Shadow Trak. Overall it's a pretty detailed little vehicle, and it doesn't match any sort of vehicle from the real world. This is something that the designers at Palitoy would have made up, and I think that's why it looks quite nice, because it's sort of a little bit futuristic and a little bit like it would sort of work in the real world. Now the vehicle that this was sort of modified from, the AF5, originally had some wings that folded out from the side, so they've replaced those with these sort of missile launchers, and the little hinge mechanism is still visible there, although these don't fold out. On the AF5 these whole wings would have folded out to make it some sort of plane. It also comes, if we look at the back, there are a couple of guns fitted to it. Now because of all the sort of holes and mountings on this vehicle, you can actually take these guns off and put them in various positions. So you can see they have a sort of standard size little plug on the bottom of them, so we can put those onto the front if we want. As you can see, there's an aerial on one side as well, so we could swap that out and move the aerial back to the sort of back section and then put those guns on the front. So it gives you a little bit of sort of extra play sort of there, the fact that you can modify this vehicle and change it to how you want. And it also comes with a bit of a rarer piece, which is this little tow hook. Now this again is a piece that pops off, you can see it unclips there, and this enables you to tow some other bits that were available in the line. There was a nice big red double-barreled gun that again you could sort of attach to this, and this piece is generally missing. So if you're going to buy one of these, make sure that it comes with this, because without that you can't tow any of the extra vehicles. And there are a few other bits that it's worth keeping a note of if you want to buy one of these that are missing. Obviously the guns come off, the little aerial comes off, and these little missiles that fit on the front here, you can see those clip onto some very small posts, and these are quite often missing and seem to be quite hard to find. Now the Shadow Trak came with its own driver, and early versions came with a slightly modified version of this sort of standard Red Shadow soldier, and the modification was the fact that his hands are painted black. So early versions look like this, and later versions will look like this standard soldier. And also this guy has his own name. He is called Red Vulture, although there's not really a great difference. As you can see, that was the sort of designation for this guy's name if he's driving the Shadow Trak. Now because of the way this car is set up, you can obviously have the driver seated in a few positions. The back of the seat here, you can see, folds down and up, so if you want to, you can have him just sitting normally in the cockpit driving, or if you want to have a little bit of a change, you can fold down the seat. If we fold up his arms, he can then sort of lie like so, like he's sort of almost sort of riding it more like a sledge or something like that. But then again, if you want to take that out, you can fold this seat down again. We'll put him in the front. He's got a bit awkward arms, but he does fit in, and then we can add another guy to sit behind him using the backrest as another sort of seat. And again, because we could sort of swap these guns around, we can put them so it actually looks like he's got some guns at the back to aim while the Red Vulture is actually driving the vehicle. It's quite a nice toy because you can move these things around, and obviously these sort of fixing points are the same scale as all other sort of Action Force pieces, so there are lots of other bits from other vehicles you could have sort of plugged into this if you so wanted while you were playing with it. So I think that's quite a nice sort of little feature that they've added there, and something that sort of makes the Action Force line certainly a lot more playable with than some other toys. If we flip the Shadow Trak over, you can read the details on the bottom. It clearly has got the nice Action Force logo, and it says CPG Products Corp 1981. Now this vehicle was actually released in 1983, but as I say, because this body was previously used for something else, the copyright information on the back says 1981, because that's when that version of the vehicle was first released and the mould was first used. Shadow tracks are not particularly that hard to find. You can easily pick up a sort of a fairly reasonable one off eBay at the moment. I actually picked this one up off a Facebook group, and I think I paid £22 for it. It was missing the missile, so I need to actually say a big thank you to Si from Retro Revival, who just happened to have one of these and sent it over to me. And the other one on the other side is one I've actually made. I cast that using some blue stuff and some milliput, because I've still yet to find another one. But as you can see, even a casting of it actually looks pretty reasonable, and you would hardly know that that wasn't an original little missile sitting there on the side. So if you want to pick these up, they are relatively straightforward to find. Just make sure they've got most of the parts. You want to get the little area on the guns, and if possible get the little latch at the back for towing things, and also the missiles on the front. But really, even without those bits, it still looks like a great toy, and it's certainly something that's worth having in a collection. And as you've seen recently from some of my videos, I do actually collect mainly just the sort of Red Shadow figures from Action Force. So I'm producing a little army, and this is an ideal thing to have in the army. I've only got a small selection of my figures here on display at the moment. The rest are all baggied up, and there's a whole load of them, so I've got quite a big army starting, and it's just a nice vehicle to have next to the army setup. So I hope my review of the Action Force Red Shadow's Shadow Trak vehicle has been of interest to you, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.